This is the $400 Ironside gaming table by Cloud Puncher Games, and in this video I'm going to be letting you guys know my personal thoughts about this table along with its design, structure, and how well it is built. Is it actually spill proof, and so much more. I'll be letting you guys know who I think this table is actually for, so stay tuned, you don't want to miss a thing. Starting off, what you're looking at right now is the base pledge for the Ironside gaming table. It is important to note what I'm showing you right now is a prototype table. Please keep in mind this table has been passed around before I have received it. So you may see some dents and scratches on this table, but I'll talk more about that later in the video. And please be aware, some small design changes will happen from this version to when you receive your gaming table. Now, let me show you what a $400 gaming table looks like, plus shipping, by putting this table together because it was extremely easy. The Ironside base gaming table comes with 4 metal frames, each one having a base lip that will hold the center board and 4 metal legs. To put the table together, you simply screw each leg into the frame. Each leg takes 8 screws to screw into the frame. Each screw will be easily screwed in with the Allen key that is provided. Next, the table comes with wooden rods and square foam pieces. The square foam pieces stick into the metal lip, and between each square foam you will place a wooden rod. This will create the main support for the center of the table. Next, you will place 5 flexible white boards on top of the rods, making the center of the table. After that, simply place your playmat on the table and simply tuck it into place. And then you have your gaming table. Alright, now that you know how this table is put together, let me talk to you about the design of what I like and don't like. So right off the bat, I really enjoy how simple and basic this table is. Super easy to put together. You can put this table together in easily under 30 minutes, especially if you have 2 people helping you. I do enjoy how this table has more of a modern, simple design with bevel edges, giving it a nice, smooth, rounded look. The table stands almost at 29 inches tall, and it has a playing surface of 3 by 5 feet. The depth of the table from the inner edge to the playing surface is roughly 3 inches, making sure all gaming components, including dice, stay in the gaming area. The outer rim of the table is roughly 2.5 inches wide, giving players enough space to rest their arms on. With this basic and unique design, players will have the ability to extend the table by combining either 2 tables together or by adding some extension pieces. If you are worried that this table is going to be too small for you, here's an example of Dinosaur World set up at 4 players. Dinosaur World is a fairly big game and it is a complete table hog. You can see in my example, the table does hold Dinosaur World fairly well. It is a little tight, especially at 4 players, but that game is huge and I have no complaints. So how comfortable is this table, you might ask? Well, I'm actually not that tall of a person. I'm actually only 5'7". So as it stands, this table height is perfect for me. I'm not hunched over while playing games. But I do see this could be a problem for anyone that's over 6 feet tall. You'd probably be hunched over quite a bit. The table does have dials at the bottom of each leg, so you're able to adjust the height a little bit, only by 4 centimeters, so that doesn't really make a huge difference. But for anyone that is under 6 feet tall, I do think the table works great and is very comfortable to sit at. As far as the steel base around the table, I do feel like there is a good amount of space between players. If you are a bigger person, however, it might be a tighter fit. This table can easily fit 6 players, and there is enough leg room for everyone, so you're not butt up against somebody. A few issues I have with this table has to do with the center of the table and how it's designed. As you can see, there is only made up of foam boards. Very flexible, and seems like they could break very easy, especially if you put any extra force on it. Also, these rods, these are not very aesthetically pleasing. I mean, no one's going to be really looking underneath your table, so no one's really going to see these. However, they don't seem like they are put in place very well. The only thing that holds them in place are these styrofoam adhesive square blocks. And these can be taken off very easy and put back simply like so. It does the job keeping the support of the center of the table, but with enough force, I do see this being an issue and not lasting a very long time. And I did speak with Cloud Puncher Games. They are looking at a more sturdier option for the center of the table. So as of right now, I can't say this is the final product. Keep this in mind. The goal of this table was to make it affordable for gamers. Another quick note about those foam boards. As you can tell, They're not quite cut into place with this prototype table, but you can notice that they do have quite a bit of bounce to them. So when you're playing on it, it can be a bit annoying. Again, I have talked to Cloud Puncher Games and they will be addressing this issue and making these boards more sturdy. But I wanted to bring it to your attention because I do have it with me today and I found it a little bit annoying while playing on it. And you can still feel it when the playmat sits on top. So you might be asking yourself, how stable is this lightweight steel frame? Well, I'm about to show you that by shaking it a bit. As you can tell, it doesn't move too much until I start putting more pressure on it. There you go. For the most part, I have no issues with that. It works out really well for what it is. So I think it is a good solid table and won't move around too much. Another thing I want to point out though is if you're somebody that wears big rings and bracelets, when I received this table, it was scratched up quite a bit with lots of dents and marks on the steel. I can see that being a problem for anyone that wears jewelry at the table. It might get scratched up fairly easy. So please keep that in mind when you're purchasing this table. It's not 100% scratch proof. It will get banged up. Alright, so now let's talk about some add-ons. So if you feel like this table is too small for your gaming space, there's extra add-ons you can add to make this table even longer or wider, whatever you prefer. So if you want to extend this table, it's fairly easy. All you would have to do is unscrew the metal frames with each leg. There's approximately, like I said, 8 screws for each leg. And you can simply unscrew it with an Allen key. And then you would have to add the extension bar, which looks something like this. This would screw into this here, and then the leg would screw into the back here. I currently don't have the space for that. You can see there's a wall right here, but it is possible and it is easy to do so. My one complaint here is it is a bit annoying if you want to adjust it from 5 feet to 7 feet because you have to unscrew all those screws all over again, and that can be time consuming. So it seems like it's more of a permanent setup than just having a regular 5-foot table that's easy to extend. Also, if you do extend this to 7 feet, I'm not too sure how big they make the playmats. What I was offered was an extra extension to place on my playmat or place it underneath, but it had a little bit of an overlap and a lip, which I found very annoying to use when playing games. So you may want to get a custom played playmat that would fit your table if you want to keep it at that 7-foot length. Plus, the material was slightly different than the black playmat that I have, so you can tell in the footage here that it doesn't quite match or line up. So consider that if you want to make this a 7-foot table, what playmats there are out there to fit your table. Another add-on you can add are armrests. Now, this is a very simple design, I will admit. It is a simple gray fabric with a rubber bottom to help grip to the metal steel. I will admit, if you are playing games for a really long time, with this being a metal steel table, if you are sleeveless, you will notice a discomfort in your arms. You can pick up an armrest, which I would highly recommend because this does help a lot. However, I found with the rubber grip, it doesn't really stay on the table that much, especially if you're moving quite a lot. This simply can just flop on and flop off as so. So what I actually decided to do was because this is a metal frame, I actually got magnets. And simply because each armrest has a zipper, I stuck magnets in here like so, and now it sticks. It's not gonna go anywhere. So I do hope that can be a design change or something. If you do pick up armrests, I would recommend picking up magnets as well. I also spoke to Cloud Puncher Games about this, and they do plan on fixing the rubber grip a little bit more. However, I just don't see this working really well in the future. Now, let's talk about what I think is this table's worst and best feature, the topper. The topper does offer a nice design element to it and it will help protect your games. However, when you receive your table, you'll probably receive these black rubber adhesive pieces that will grip to the bottom of the table. I did not receive that, so I had to improvise again with magnets because this is a steel table to help hold it in place. I find the magnets work really well, and in my mind, I don't really see those rubber adhesive pieces working out too well. I do find the oak topper looks really nice with the white base. I'm really impressed with the wood quality. It does add a fair amount of weight to the table, but overall, it's a good solid table. The table is very easy to lock into place. However, it does shift quite a bit, especially if you do move around on it a lot. So it doesn't really work well as a gaming surface. I can't really speak too much about the surface because I haven't had a lot of time to play on this or even eat on it, but it was banged up when I received it and it does have a bit of scratches and dents on it. Even though I do have magnets on it, in the future I probably would double them up so it is stronger, but I think it's important to note that what I have right now does easily move with enough force. You can tell right now with me just shifting it, it can shift back and forth. It can slip out of place, but it simply can be fixed. It just slides right back into place, so that's not a huge issue. I would love an option to have one solid cover, or maybe cut this down to like 3 pieces instead of 6. I'm not too sure why they went with the middle having 2 pieces. I feel like with the more leaves that you get, the more wobble you will get. So the less that you can get, the better it's going to be, in my personal opinion. It does work for eating on, I suppose, or party games and card games. The surface itself is pretty smooth. It's easy to deal out cards, but again, I wouldn't recommend playing games on this. If you do plan on using this as a dining room table, it's important to know, will this protect your games if you have something set up underneath? So I have a cup of water here. We're gonna test it out right now in real time. Hopefully you guys can see this. So I'm just gonna simply dump it like so. There. You can see a good pool of water there. Wipe it up. Seems to be able to wipe up very easy. And now let's see if there's any water they got in between the crack. I don't know how much you guys can see that, but there's definitely water in the lip here. I don't know how much you guys can see, but you can see a drip of water here. And a couple drops got in. So as you can see there in that example, yeah, some water definitely leaked through, but not as bad as I thought it would be. It's mainly all caught on the lip here of the table. Nothing kind of really got through. So as far as protection goes, kind of, but not 100%. But there you go. I hope I answered that question for you. Now what's really cool about the topper is how it can be used for an end table or a side table by simply attaching these metal legs to it. And you can see each one can be screwed into one another, so you can easily adjust the height, which I think this is really awesome and I haven't really seen in another table design before. However, I can only recommend using at least 2 or 3 of these per top to screw into, because other than that, it would feel like it gets really wobbly and unstable. I can only recommend this as a snack table or a rulebook box holder. I don't think it would actually hold any human weight at all as an extra bench, so I don't recommend that at all, so please don't sit on these. Final thoughts about the Ironside gaming table. I have a lot to say. What do I like about it? Well, I love how the price point works for anyone that is on a budget. I love how modular and custom you can make this table to fit any size of gamer that's out there. If you want to make this a Warhammer gaming table, you're going to need to get 2 tables and put them together. If you want a standard size, they have that option. If you want to extend it, they have that option. There's a bunch of different ways you can customize this table, and they're able to produce it really fast. The price point I think is really good for anyone looking for a budget-friendly entry-level gaming table. It will help hold any huge games that you want to play on it. I love how easy it was to put this table together, super easy. If you ever put IKEA furniture together, this would be a breeze. It's not complicated at all. Again, I would just stress that if you plan on extending this table, and you want to adjust it back and forth, it's not really easy to do so, in the sense that you have to unscrew every single screw and put it back and forth. It's going to take a bit of time. The steel table itself is very easy to move around. It's very lightweight, but once the topper is placed on top, it definitely adds to the weight, and it's not very easy to move around. So I'm not able to adjust it and pick it up as easy as I would if the topper wasn't in place. So it's a good solid table. I also find this table very comfortable to sit at, and I am a shorter person, so that works out great for me. But if you all are a taller person, please consider that this is a shorter height table. It can be adjusted, like I mentioned before, by 4 centimeters, but it's not gonna make a huge difference. I also really love there's a bunch of different add-ons for this table with the play mats and with the accessories that can be easily clipped into the table. No problem there. They easily snap into place. So if you want cup holders, card holders, or even bag holders, there's those options there as well. They fit into place nice and easy in those holes around the table. As far as what I dislike about this table, it has to mainly to do with the design. I'm not a huge fan of those exposed rods at the bottom. I wish there was a way to cover them up or either match the color of your table to make it more aesthetically pleasing. I'm also not a huge fan of the current material that makes up the center board. They are very flexible and they don't look like they could handle a lot of support. But again, I spoke to Cloud Puncher Games and they are working on a solution. I don't think that is a make it or break it though. Overall, I feel like this is a good solid table, especially if you're on a budget. I also wish there was more color options for those armrests than just the standard gray, black, and white. Either something to match the table better, but I understand it is what it is. I would also definitely not recommend using this table as a dining room table without having some type of cover over top to protect your games that are underneath. Because as you can tell in my spill test, some water did get through. I'm also not a huge fan of how easily the surface can be scratched. Again, I haven't really scratched it in any of my tests, but because the scratches are there, I can see how easily this thing can get damaged, both on the metal frame and the wood surface itself. So it's definitely worth picking up a table cover to help protect the surface of the wood. If you do have a bigger budget and looking for other gaming tables, I do have a video on this channel talking about my personal top 10 recommendations for tables that you can buy right now, which you can check out right here. And I do hope I helped answer all your questions in this video. If not, let me know in the comment section down below or over on the Kickstarter page, because I'm sure Cloud Puncher Games would love your feedback. Until the next one, my name is Clayton and I'll catch you later. Take care.